Favorite day of the week. Oh, we got massage lined up for tomorrow. It's going to be a great week. Lots of things to talk about and accomplish. Any day now, YouTube. Just want to make sure we're going live first. There we go.
Yeah, I like Mondays a lot too,
Yeah? Why is that?
because on Mondays you can do a lot of stuff that you cannot do over the weekend.
That's very true. Massage lined up. Very true. There we go. It's going to be a
There are
great
many
week.
things that you
I'm
cannot
unmuting
fix over the
this.
weekend. You have to wait till the whole commerce gets working, so that's when you can fix things.
First
Right.
business.
That's why when I used to do my door to door, my favorite days off were Sunday and Monday. That's why I got a little bit of the weekend, a little bit of the weekday, and then Mondays I could go get stuff accomplished. But anyway, hello everyone. We are live right now. My name is Robert Blakely. I am your host. This is our Monday Mastermind for the losttransition.com. If you're watching us on YouTube, feel free to join us live. Go to live.thelosttransition.com. You'll pop right into this room with all these fabulous people here. What are we doing here? Well, every Monday we have a Monday Mastermind. We talk about the wins that are going on in our world here, especially those of you who would love to hear your wins if you're applying the information that we're actually teaching. Then we go through a little bit of an educational portion. We've set out over the this year to have 52 weeks of content, educational content that will mostly include sales psychology, but today is slightly different because we're turning the page, if you will, because we are already now on week 33. So today's topic that we're going to be talking about is time blocking for entrepreneurs. So now we got to go and again turn the page and we got to think about all those things that we've been talking about and teaching from week 1 to week 32, and we're going to kind of put them all together, right? So today we're going to do things the same but slightly different. If you guys will amuse me for a moment and try to help me out the best that you possibly can. What I'd like to hear today is I'd like to hear your wins and then maybe one thing that you've learned over the past 30 weeks or however long you've been here, so that everybody hears different points of interest from something that we've learned here. Okay? This way we know somebody's actually taking notes and or actually apply on. So, Dr. Lisa, she's got her hand up. Let's go ahead and get the party started. How are you, dear? Great to see you.
Thank you. Glad to be here. The 12 minutes conversation, brilliant, life changing. It's amazing.
Love it.
And
Love it.
this is for my
So, what are you
business
doing
as
for
well
that?
as
Are
for
you,
personal.
yeah. So, what are you doing or how are you implementing that on the daily basis now
My
that you know that?
uh, having my Calendly link, when
Yeah.
people ask, do you have time for this or that? And I'll say, I'll shoot them the link. But the important thing, and this has been professional as well, because I've been contacted by different organizations that needed some time, and I shot them the link. We had the meeting. Sometimes there were 2 or 3 people in the meeting, and it was like, okay, we got to wrap up in about 5 minutes, or just. But also, clients that I was coaching, same thing. I gave them their time. But look, we only have 5 more minutes, so what do you really need me, you know,
I love
to do
that.
today? And it was just, and they also, Calendly or schedulers, you can ask them ahead of time what they need, and they fill it in because they know they only have 15 minutes. So they give me the details in writing, and then I can do what I need. I can tailor the time the way I need them to. So it's been a
Right.
game changer for me.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Any wins that you'd like to share as well?
Uh, Wins are coming. The,
Okay.
the wins are in the process right now because, in fact, I just had a meeting with Coach Judy, and we're getting very, very specific and granular as far as step by step what is the customer journey so
Okay.
that we can do a launch for our first cohort the last week of this month.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. That sounds fabulous. And just so you know, too, there is a floating timer in the back office of the Lost Transition that you're a member of. And you also have a calendar type page that you can now share with people. And
Yes,
if you
sir.
share it with them, it's the same thing. I don't know if you've seen it or not,
Yeah.
but it will ask them what they're looking to get out of it, all that stuff, and then boom, they'll automatically pop into your CRM, into the requested file. And there's some new stuff that I did over this weekend that I'm not going to tell you about just yet.
Ooh.
I'll wait till my turn for the wins. But thank you for sharing, Dr. Lisa. I really appreciate that because that was one thing that was really pivotal in me going and understanding how I could write my own paycheck. So that's huge. Great takeaway. Thank you for sharing. Virgil, what do you got, brother?
One big word for all my wins
Yeah.
this week was its consolidation, in the sense that last week I was offline because I was doing this project away from computers and the focus was there. And while I was there, I did some action that brought about some new life in my DMs with people with which I was looking at establishing collaboration, content creation, and such like that, exploring into everything that I'm doing on the ground. And this week has been a whole lot of follow-ups with these people and with these interested contact, and the relationship process that I followed to consolidate has to do a lot with what you also have been putting in this room, the concept of the buying line. I think that's important in everything. Whenever you're selling something or just positioning yourself into a future collaboration, you have to understand you have to come in with value. So understand your value. You also have to understand the priority of the other side. And only through conversations do you understand when it's the time to really make the offer. So the concept of the buying line is something that I am actually living through these conversations.
Love
So
that.
out to you for that concept in the way of positioning that approach at conversation, because it's really that, right? Understanding how much of the person you have uh, uh, gain a grasp of, how you weigh in the priorities, the pain points, and the value of what you are offering, and how you bring that conversation up to that point of interest, right? Where you ask to showcase what you're doing. So, uh, really and truly, I think for the next few months or weeks, it's going to be that consolidating, since I'm doing a lot of things. And I need to bring it under the same umbrella, content strategy wise. So it started with that. Pretty happy with that,
Love
the
it.
turnout.
Then, first off, congrats, and you're gonna love today's presentation. Then, of course, the universe just lines up. But that being said, like when it comes to the buying line, that's a huge takeaway as well. So I'm glad that you grasp that. One easy way to learn whether or not they're above that buying line is by doing checkbacks, right? Or questions, as in saying, does that make sense? If the buyer is saying, yes, it makes sense, then that means they're following what it is that you're saying. The moment it doesn't make sense, then they're definitely not above that buying line. It's obviously not any time to try to pursue that sale. So great feedback, brother. Thank you for sharing. Gene, what do you got, brother? Love that background. Your new pocket cologne, perfumes looks amazing, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Pardon?
I love the
Oh,
branding, of
yeah.
course.
Thank you. Um, yeah, number one, that's my big win is the NDA was lifted that I can now talk about it and promote the product. Anybody that's flying definitely needs these because they can get around TSA because it's TSA friendly. And but I'm really excited about this. I've already got two affiliates signed up underneath me. It's just an affiliate program. It's not network marketing, so it's one level, but at least it pays off that level. And then no, just really excited about everything. I've got some a couple of feelers out. I'm just now digging into the CRM. You and I were going back and forth yesterday with something that I completely missed.
Yeah,
I did submit the suggestion to you, by the way, through
I
the light
did.
bulb. Okay.
Yes.
And no, it just things are just lining up. Uh, the pool company is about to pay us for videos I made and door hangers that I created. I got to go back in and change the phone number because after 3 or 4 weeks of dealing with them and showing the phone number that's on everything, today they say, "Oh, well, we want this phone number."
Uh, gonna cost you. Well, we've already had a run, so you're gonna have to wait till the next run or
Exactly.
something.
Well, luckily we hadn't sent the printers yet for the door hangers. So,
Oh, cool.
but and I'm 99% sure that I asked them in the chat without having to scroll back up. I think I asked them which phone number do we use because there's two of them on the website.
No,
So, but anyway, um, and then Lisa's land deal went done and or went through in Ohio
nice.
that she's going to be stuck in Ohio for 3 years developing this project with mini Amish houses and things like that, which again, she's going to need work from me. So there'll be paydays coming. And I'm right in the middle of just starting on doing the presentation deck because we're going to be doing weekly Zooms about pocket products and the cologne and perfume and stuff. So I'm starting to do that deck myself because number one, the IT guy won't send us the deck for some reason, even though we've asked for it. But I'm just gonna do it myself. Heck with it.
Right?
So, but he wants
Hey,
to make sure to approve it. But
and do us a favor real quick. What are those two domains since you got just put it out there publicly? So
Gene has cologne.com and Gene has perfume.com. Just kind of it ties right in with the Gene has concerns and
I love it.
stuff like that. So but yeah, especially people that are flying is Lisa's about to try this out. Well, actually, she tried it out last time when she flew from LA back out to Ohio. TSA didn't say a word to her. It just it was
Yeah.
in her purse and went through the scanner and yeah. So
So go check those out, guys, if you can. Support Gene, part of the community here. I love what you're doing, brother. The branding itself is what I love most about what you're doing. It's one of the biggest things that we try to teach around here. If you could connect your branding properly to whatever products that you're doing, oh my God, like you're at that cusp, Gene. You're ready to fly, brother.
well, I appreciate that, and that's one of the things I have learned from you is really tying that branding in together. Another thing is going back the same thing Virgil said is that buying line is I had never really considered that. That's one of the things that I've basically learned is where's that threshold to ask for that sale. And matter of fact, the girl that it's already one of my affiliates, she didn't actually buy any yet, but she's one of my affiliates, and uh, I approached her the same way. I sent her a message, "Hey, how you doing?" She'd already messaged me and sent me her stand store, so I knew she was set up for that stuff. So I just messaged her back, "Hey, how you doing? What's up?" And started a conversation, and she got stood up for a date and had to order a pizza that was 2 hours late, and we just back and forth joking around about that. And then I said, "Well, you know, I see your stand store. How would you like something else you can promote over there?" "Oh, what's that?" And we just started talking. I just told her a little bit and had her sign the NDA because we were still in the NDA back then. She was actually kind of excited about that because it was secretive.
Right.
And then she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in." She sees the value of it. So,
For sure.
so that was pretty cool. But yeah, just approaching her through conversation first, not pitching my
Yeah.
link. And if I could just take 2 more minutes, uh, a woman approached me a few weeks ago about a travel company she's with, a network marketing travel company that's MWR, that used to be My Warranty Rewards that I was a part of 10 years ago, back when it was a warranty company.
Mhm.
And of course, she didn't approach me properly and just shoved her link out there. And, and I promoted these Monday things, learning sales or psychology without insulting her or anything. Well, then the other day, I approached her. So she does, she's doing travel through cruises, but still. And I said, hey, listen, I got something that might benefit you when you're traveling and or people that you work with. Well, are you going to buy from me if I buy from you? You didn't ask me if if you could be my customer. I wanted to say, well, you didn't ask me when you approached me about your deal, but I didn't. I just played it cool
Right.
and we went back and forth a little bit. And I said, well, I didn't know those were the expectations, but that's not the way I do business. I have bought things from several people and never expected quid pro quo. It
Right.
was just an odd conversation. And then she asked me for referral.
How funny is that?
And it's like, she, number one, definitely needs you, Robert. But number two, she's not going to make money if she's doing what she's doing if she's doing it that way.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
So,
Well, look, that's the thing that a lot of people get trapped up in. And you know what's funny when you talk about that NDA, of course it's going to attract people. That's the whole Tom and Jerry thing that we talk about in day five boot camp,
hmm,
right? Your job is just to pique somebody's attention. If you can pique their attention, you can have the conversation. You have the conversation, you change the person's state. Now you plant the seed. That's the whole methodology, right? So
exactly.
awesome stuff, brother.
And
Awesome stuff.
one last thing, Lisa won't let me call the presentation "Smell and Tells." She's like, "No, absolutely not."
That's hilarious, brother. Well, thank you for sharing and congrats
Thanks.
on success, man. Still more to learn, still more to teach. Love you, brother. Jorge, what do you got, brother?
Well, I kind of like that you guys were talking about flying. That's my favorite subject. So I had a good win this week. I actually passed a check ride and got a license to continue growing and learning.
Okay.
So I'm a private pilot in this country now,
Well,
and there is a long path. So is to grow and learn.
can you fly by yourself now again, or what?
Uh, yes, and I can fly with other people too. Is that in the process that I was a student, and as a student,
Right,
I couldn't fly any passenger. I had to fly only by myself.
right,
And if I flew with somebody, it had to be an instructor,
right,
not not a regular person, not a friend.
right.
Well, my instructor is my friend too,
I
but
understand. It has to be somebody that knows how to fly the airplane in case.
right, right.
Right.
And and I see that the buying line is actually winning the contest. So that's uh, that's really a concept that uh, has impressed me more, and I've been paying attention to that. So that's uh, that's good. So thanks, and
You're welcome.
I'll keep following you, and things will improve.
Congratulations, brother. We're happy that you met that landmark, so to speak, and got to the top of that mountain, brother. Congratulations. And thanks for sharing. Thanks for being here. Appreciate your continued support. Anybody else got some wins they want to share? Something they've learned over the last 31 weeks before we shift gears into this next section? Oh, and I love what she said here, Gene. She said, yeah, I just joined about 10 Facebook groups about flying tips, etc. I'll drip on that group with questions or general tips, become a resource, and hopefully gain some interest. That's how you build your audience right there, ladies and gentlemen. Just a side note there. Any other wins? Rita, you got some wins you want to share?
Of course, of course, of course. I am super excited because, first of all, I'm joining via the Lost Transitions platform via the
Oh,
calendar resource. And unfortunately, my laptop, I'm on two different devices because my laptop, the volume, microphone, whatever, has an issue. So I said, let me do the speaking part on the phone, and then I can do the visual part on the back office. So I had such an epiphany, which is just putting all this stuff together with using the platform. And it really, really does encourage you. If you're in the least bit competitive, least bit, tiny, tiny. I'm not competitive for the most part, but just having the signing into the back office, using the clock, the timer the clock keeps track of what it is that you're doing, but also you can add your contacts as you're talking with them. So after you do that, it counts the one, two, three, four, or however many. Mine is 5 per day, and then I started doing the math, and 5 times. I decided 5 times a day was enough, unless I just want to be ambitious. And I'm sorry, not 5 times a day, 5 a day was enough for me. So if I do the math, that's 25 a week of 5 days. And then that gives me 50, that gives me 100 people a month. Now, I'm going to derive my numbers out of there. But guess what? I don't have to, because it does it for me. It tells me what my percentages are. When you look at it, you're like, oh, because mine were green, the colors that are in there, and I hope everybody knows what I'm talking about, but at the top the colors were green, and then they changed to pinkish reddish kind of color, and I'm like, oh crap, I need to add some more people in my funnel. And so I added more people, and of course the numbers adjusted themselves. But
love it.
I really, really had a great time working with that, with the tools. Know where you are in the
Love
process. So thank you for that. Let's see. I think I'm going to be quiet now.
No, that's great. So you seeing it work, that's what I love the most. Yeah, and then if it excites you and then you get in there, you start working it, it's even better.
Oh, wait, it celebrates you. When you get your 5, it's like, yay. I mean, there's a little celebratory thing that says, all right, goal accomplished. I can go do something else now. That's all I wanted to do, because I don't want to be that person that sits on the computer 8 hours a day or 7 hours a day. I
Yes.
just want to go in, do what I have to do, not care about the results. And if my results don't pan out the way that I would like, I think I should have 1 out of 10. So I expect this month I shall have 2 clients. Now I will say this. I finished with the first one. Then I'm working on the second business because I have a few in there. So now I'm working on the second business. And so then I will need 5 more prospects for those as well. But, and that comes from a pool that I'm pulling from. But I need to make sure that the language that I'm using in the emails that they will be receiving is the message that I want to deliver. So it's still being tweaked. If I don't get the numbers I want, I can go back in and with the plan, do review what I've done, see it, yep, tweak it, and that way I'll know what it is I will have. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for using it and confirming that it works and it motivates you and you're doing the thing. Uh,
Yeah. Hey, look, if anybody wants to work with me while I'm doing it, that we can work out a time frame, and if you want to share screens and whatever, for not all day, but just to do a few until I get my 5 done. Or hopefully if they turn into conversations, and that it could go in any direction, you never know. But yeah, I don't mind jumping on a Zoom and, hey, let's go, and then you'll see what I do, and then how my wonderful pink brain works.
I love your pink brain. Well, so I guess if there's no other wins, thank you first off for using that again, and thank you for your friendship and everything you do. I love you. I will go ahead and list my quick little wins. I was super busy over the weekend. So if you guys are paid members in there and you're using the system, you might see a few changes left and right. If you haven't logged in there, I highly recommend that you do. especially underneath the dashboard. One thing that she's talking about that I added was a focus, like a today's focus, so that you don't lose any kind of any prospects. I don't want them to fall through the cracks. You got to remember, I'm from a military mindset, so I'm thinking no soldier left behind, right? But the other thing that I'm doing and I'm coining is a little bit of what I'm calling smart list technology. So those of you that do have leads and you've uploaded them, if you haven't, I highly recommend you get everything set up first and then upload your leads, because what I've got cooking in the background is to be able to take those leads and send off 5 emails per day to take those cold leads and turn them into warm leads. And then as they go out, they go to that person. When they open it, they click it. If they take action, then boom, it's automatically going to go into that CRM. So I've added some more action features within there. It's all kind of really cool and diabolically neat. It all happens in the background, and you guys don't even know. It just like, oh wow, hey, I got this person that requested information or wants to have a meeting with me. Well, that's because you actually put leads into the system, and I'm going to have it work those leads in the background for you, 5 leads per day, and then they should pop up as they take response. What'll happen is there'll be 3 responses that will go out to them over 14 days. And then if they don't respond over them, then they just go into the park feature, which if you haven't seen the park feature, you'll know what I'm talking about. That just parks that lead there for later, and then it'll circle back around. So whenever your list is done going through all of those, it's going to go back and do it again. It was just something that I kind of thought was a little bit ingenious. Ultimately, because I'm thinking, okay, well, if I was somebody like myself, how could I take the leads that I already had from Nowside or anywhere else that I had, and then upload those .csv file, and then say, now, by the way, when you upload, you'll see something different. You'll see, okay, are they cold leads, warm leads, or team leads? So we actually identify what those leads are. So again, with this smart list technology, it will know whether or not that lead is a cold lead or a hot lead or a warm lead, so to speak. But once it goes into your pipeline, well, obviously then it's a warm lead. And that's what we want to do. We want to bring you guys warm leads. So anyway, that's my win. We got a lot of that done. Few little programming things to do today, and then I'm going to move on to the conference room and get that finally amended. Gene, you got something you wanted to add?
No, I was trying to clap for you and I hit the wrong
Oh,
hands.
haha, right on. Thank you, thank you. Right on. So let's go ahead and dive into this stuff because obviously, again, in the interest of time, it's very important the topic of conversation that we're going to have today. But now I don't want you to think, oh man, we're going to talk about time blocking. No. Okay, this is a very important topic that we talk about today well, because it's very important. One second here, move this. And let me know when you see my screen. Should be loading now.
Yep, there it is.
Yep, there it is. Cool. All right. So we're moving into week 33, and the reason, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the conversation today, I wanted to start off the same way we did, but I also wanted to try to do a little bit of a recap with those of you that were in the audience that participated. I appreciate you. Thank you for showing me that the knowledge is actually getting passed on to you guys, because that's the most important thing to me. I want to make sure that what I do know, what I'm teaching, is passed on and is utilized for generations to come. Right? But we're moving into, as I said, two, right? This is phase 5 of what I've designed for the 52 week curriculum. And now we're at week 33, right? So if you missed a few weeks, you're going to have to go back into the Monday Masterminds and just, I don't know how to explain it to you. You can try to go in order. You can skip past the beginning portions of each one of those videos where we do the wins, and you can get right to the content. So that's typically about 30 minutes ish, right? But watch whatever you can. Maybe you go through and see what topics you think are going to resonate the most. But throughout those last 33 weeks or 32 weeks, excuse me, we've given you all the little tips and hints and secrets that people would spend thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars to try to learn, right? And it's all coming from practical application as well. So it's not something that we just made up, threw together, we put together with artificial intelligence. All of this stuff is tested, time true, and tested like over the course of decades, right? But one of the things that we had to talk about now that we're making this little shift is this time blocking for entrepreneurs. Why? Well, Rita mentioned it earlier. She doesn't want to be one of those people that are having to sit there in front of her computer for 8 hours a day. This is something that I also am very firm about, right? The only time that I'm spending large times in front of my computer are the days that I'm doing, programming as an example, building something. Beyond that, I believe, I truly believe that you can get your workday done when it comes to online working, so to speak, within 2 to 4 hours. It really doesn't take that long, especially if you pre-plan and you do what we're going to talk about today, which is time blocking, right? My wife and I have this conversation quite often, and it's all about time management. So let me know if you would, before we dig into this, how many of you are really good at time management? If you are, raise your hand or give me a one down in the chat area. Yeah, okay. Not so good. Gene said put two thumbs down. Not so good. Okay, if you're not so good, raise your hand. Let's do that. Time management. Johnny, where are you at? You're not so good? Okay, cool. Okay. So the most of the things most of the things that I've learned when it comes to time management, I'm going to tell you honestly, they come from the military. And I'm not telling you how you have to think. You just have to put it into your own dialect so that it makes sense in your own head. But for me, time management is everything, right? Especially from the military point of view, because if you're not where you're supposed to be on time, it could literally cost lives. That's the way that I look at it. Right? So you don't have to look at it as dramatic as I do, but that's something that keeps me going and making sure, hey, I'm here on time, I'm there, whatever the deployment is, whatever the mission, I'm ready to go, right? Um, you know, and you can look at any job that same way, right? They expect you to be there. If it's a 9 to 5, they expect you to be there nine, sometimes 10 to 15 minutes earlier, right? So this is no different when we're talking about you running an online empire than going to your 9 to 5, only it's more fun. This is what I want you to understand. This is way more fun than going out there digging ditches or anything like that. And realistically, all it's going to come down to is like you heard Gene say. It's just going to come down to conversations. Then it comes down to what you heard Dr. Lisa say. It's going to come down to what amount of time are you taking within those conversations? If you're taking more than 12 minutes per conversation, especially if it's a business conversation, then it's too long, right? Well, technically, I'll take that back. If it's a business conversation, I'm okay with it running past 12 minutes. And I'm okay with it going to 15. I prefer not to go any longer than that, especially if I'm in my time block zone for me reaching out and prospecting for a better terms, right? So we're going to dive into that stuff and we're going to talk about systems and organization in this phase that we're in, which is phase 5, okay? And ultimately, I want you to own your calendar instead of just reacting to it. Virgil and I had I can't remember, it was quite some time ago on one of his How-To Tuesdays, and we talked about you could tell a man by looking at his calendar, right? Or a woman. What do you have on your calendar? If you don't have anything on your calendar, you don't have anything scheduled. I don't know like what kind of business you're running, but nothing's happening. Nothing's coming through the door. There's no meetings, there's no conversations. you don't have a business, right? So let's talk about that. At the very top, a to-do list is a wish, right? So we talk about to-do lists. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, as I'm programmed, I would say let's add it to the to-do list. I say that because it's kind of just a referendum so that as I'm speaking with my artificial intelligence, it can have a reference point for that to go back to. There's also nothing wrong with, taking sticky notes or making your sticky notes within the lost transition and making a list of things that you need to get done. The other thing that we talked about before is creating a 72-hour list. So if you need to go back to watch that kind of stuff, it's pretty simple, right? Think about the things that you need to get done and what is it that you need to get done within the next 72 hours. If it's super important, then write it down, right? And then put yourself to an actual time block to get those things accomplished, right? But here's the thing. If you don't have a time slotted for it, it's not going to get done, right? Even you putting it on a list doesn't give it a time. This is why I'm telling you or explaining this to you, right? The to-do list is just a pile of intentions or a pile of sticky notes, as an example, right? But if you actually put some time block to something, as an example, I've got this other list here that I've got some time that I've got to block off, right? This is according to my 72-hour time frame. So I'm going to go through and then I'm going to block off that time within my calendar so that I spend specific amounts of time for it. Same thing can be said with your online business. Maybe, and I'm probably getting ahead of myself, which I know I am. Maybe it's an hour here and you got to go take the kids to school. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up, right? Or whatever. You got to go to work, and then you got 30 minutes here within your lunch break, and then when you get home, you got 2 hours here, right? Make the time blocks is what I'm explaining to you. Most entrepreneurs don't have a productivity problem. They have a protection problem, right? So the important work never gets a slot, so it loses every time to whatever is loudest. So, right, we may have something that we need to do, and I prove that every day. But if the wife comes in here and she asks me to do something, well, guess what? I gotta go see what the wife wants me to do, right? Within reason. But the principle is you don't find time, you assign it. And when you start assigning time, then now, well, it's something that you have to do. It's a to-do list that actually gets done because you've assigned time to it, right? So where your day actually goes, let's think about it. There's a lot of times, and we've talked about this several times before too, is you guarding your time, you being in charge of the time. Like literally being in charge of your time and of course your energy. But there's a lot of thieves that are out there that are willing to eat up your time. And I know you guys will know what I'm talking about, especially once I start saying it, is that you get on the phone and you only expect that it's going to be a 12-minute call, but next thing you know, they're telling you your life story, their life story that you really don't need to hear, but they're going to tell you it anyway. Right? And at some point in time, you might need to take control of that time, especially if you're in a leadership role, and then be able to say, "Well, hold on, hold on. Let's talk. Let's table that for now. Let's talk about it at this time, and actually make a time block for that. Believe it or not." Right? But what happens throughout the day? You're out there, you're reacting all day. If you don't have something on your schedule or your calendar, right? 10 a.m. I got to be somewhere, then all you're doing is reacting. Now, there's nothing wrong with living in the moment, right? Let's not get it twisted, but you can live in the moment while still being time management savvy, right? Make sense? And then no boundaries. Working from home with an open door is kind of like opening yourself up for any kind of interruption, right? When I went to go live today, the wife knows, okay, he's going live, he's going with his group, the door gets closed. If I'm not doing anything that's super important, then obviously I've got an open door policy. We leave the door open She comes in here and hangs out with me while I'm coding and stuff, and so do the animals. Third, task switching, jumping between prospecting, admin, and messaging costs focus every time. I know myself personally, this happens because I'm ADHD, I don't know, not clinically diagnosed, but all of you guys can relate to what I'm talking about because half of you probably got 15 to 20 browser tabs open right now, right? Right? So we're switching back and forth. We've all been trained and programmed to be ADD like, right? And scroll and go from here to here. This is why time blocking is even more important, right? And then we've got busy work that feels safe. And this is, I mentioned this the other day to where it's like, when you think you're busy, really all you're doing is just like shuffling paperwork and, getting on Facebook, right? So that's where a lot of your time goes. Think about your time. Even now, as we're sitting here, right? I love the fact that number one, that you guys have time blocked us out. It's the same thing as, okay, well, Monday Masterminds, this is a time block. So you guys do it. You can do it. You're here every Monday. Congratulations. Now be there for yourself. Okay? Be there for yourself. Obviously, we've talked about, well, you don't need to be on meetings all day and, training after training after training. No, get what you need out of it, right? Surely get what you need out of it. In fact, in many cases, I don't even go to a lot of the things that are happening corporate side unless I've got a prospect that I want to invite or share. If not, then I'm busy trying to find the prospect to invite or share, right? So moving on, not all hours are equal. And this is something that we need to talk about because this is how important it is in understanding how you're able to do these time blocks that we're talking about. And you have to think about what's going to be most important, especially when it comes to your time and your time in general. Like, I don't know, I'm on Central Standard Time. You guys are on Eastern Standard Time. Even the times that you post are important, right? But let's talk about blocking the money hours first, right? What are the income producing activities that are going to make you the most money? Well, number one is prospecting and outreach, right? Biggest thing that comes to my mind when I think of that is growing your audience or growing your email list. Secondly, it might be follow-up calls. Now, when we say follow-up, obviously it's not, hey, Dr. Lisa, did you take a look at that information that I sent you? Right? That's not what a follow-up is in our trainings here, right? Third is presentation and then closing. Ultimately, if you want to have the money, then you have to ask that closing question thousands upon thousands of times. And then another one is asking for referrals, which we laughed about Gene's friend asking for referrals and didn't even know how to market it. And then last but not finally is training your team. The great thing about the Lost Transition is that you guys are afforded the greatness of being able to, invite your friends here. I'll do the training because it's something that I love to do. But training your team is very important. You'll never get any kind of duplication out of anybody if you can't train somebody to do what it is that you're doing, which is part of why we started this 5 years ago, right? Everything else it's all side work, right? Email and messages, those are great, but you can block time for that out so that they're done specifically. In the case of the lost transition, we're going to have some of that stuff working in the background, so you don't even have to worry about it. Okay. Admin and paperwork, we all know that stuff sucks. Reorganizing and planning, that I think is shifting paperwork and stuff. Social media scrolling, this one is the biggest one that affects us all. In fact, I think I've mentioned to you guys before, and I started this new practice as well since I've got my MacBook Pro here and I've got my new iPad here. I've decided that when I'm online and when I'm working, I do not have Facebook up on my browser. But I will see if somebody tries to reach out to me on Facebook, and then I can switch to my iPad and I can do what I need to do on that. The other thing that I know that I've mentioned before is I tend to find that when I go on Facebook, I start doing the whole scrolling thing, and then it comes to my mind this 12-minute conversation. Not that it takes 12 minutes for me to figure out that I'm doom scrolling on Facebook, but it takes me a few moments and I'm like, oh shit, I'm wasting time on Facebook. Click. And it's an immediate reaction. I'm training myself to just get out of Facebook, right? So be careful of the social media scrolling. Again, you have to control your time. If you're not paying attention, all of a sudden, oh man, the hour went by and you didn't do any income producing activities, and that's not good for your business, right? And or finally, research that never ends. Like I'm all about rabbit holes. I'll tell you, like I love a great rabbit hole, right? But those things are deep. So be careful, don't go too deep. And if you're gonna be researching, like the best thing you could do is try to use that research to your advantage, right? But ultimately, block those income producing hours first. What is it that's going to make you money at the beginning of the day? Even if it's, to me, it's planning out what you're going to say on Facebook. What is that post going to be? Right? What is your first post going to be? Maybe your second or third if you guys do that. Right? And then what's the intention behind it? Because once the intention is set out there, and if you do it the right way, and people are commenting throughout the day, then now all you're doing is you're just checking your phone throughout the day based off of whatever time blocks that you have, right? So think about your hours. Maybe, like as an example, I've learned to do the morning thing till 2 is what I typically do, right? And then there's some times that I might have to do a split shift, right? Maybe on Wednesdays it's this portion of the day and this portion of the day, which is in the afternoon, because I need to get a hold of people that are in another time zone, as an example, right? Point is to you only you can block out your day how you need it to. And then let's connect it to what you already know. Okay, these are things that we talked about over the last 32 weeks. The calendar, as we talked about, is so, so, so important. A dear friend of ours told me that she is not one that likes being held to like a calendar, to like, you got to be here at this time, this date. You know what? I said I totally understand that, right? But when it comes to a calendar, the beautiful part about that and you setting it is that they're soft, right? So it doesn't mean you have to be there at 6 o'clock. Maybe it is 6:05, but at least it's time block there so you know to do it and then you actually go do it. Because if you don't set the time block for 6, then you'll be, I don't know, doing something else, get scrolling on TV or your phone or on TV, and then, oh shit, it's 6:15, right? So we draw back to week 32, which was just last week, and talked about the CRM and how it's your ATM, right? So it's a complete system. If you have a really good CRM and a really good system, then you know, like Rita's talking about, you do X amount per day that's going to put leads within that CRM that's going to produce the compression that we've talked about. And then eventually people are going to say, okay, I'm ready. Oh, okay, Rita, I'm ready. Hey, Dr. Lisa, I'm ready. Right? Linda, I'm ready. Right? And then we go back to week 7, the power of consistency. So that means that you have to have some kind of consistency. And it doesn't matter, like nobody's going to tell you how to do your day, right? But I'm giving you suggestions. Maybe Monday is one day that you work on something specific, Tuesday is something different, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so on and so forth. Only you can determine what that schedule is, right? But you're going to guard your schedule like it's your bread and butter so that you're working within your CRM to fill that up so that you're having the amount of conversations that you need to. The beautiful thing about what we've designed here that I foresee is that if you work the system, and Rita will probably be one of the first ones to tell you besides me, that she's going to end up going into her calendar for the day and she's going to see five people that she's got to go have a conversation with. And all five of those are going to be business related conversations. She's probably going to close three, or maybe even five of those conversations, right? So consistency is super important. Can't express that enough. Here's techniques, as you like to know. We like to give out techniques, the gold that we like to drop, so to speak. Big rocks first. Well, you've been living under a rock? Well, let's talk about moving those rocks. Let's move the big rocks first. Schedule what matters before the day fills with sand, right? Like, what's the biggest thing? Because I'm telling you right now, if you get rid of the biggest thing first, right, it's a lot easier to get rid of all the other things. Right? Many times there's nothing wrong with, as an example, when I'm coding, I'll say, okay, do we have any quick wins? Okay, let's do the quick wins. And then, all right, what's this big thing that we got to do? All right, let's do this big thing. But work on moving the big rocks first. If it matters, it gets a time slot, not just a spot on a list, right? If it's super important, then block out time for that. So on the left, you see how to do it. Book income producing blocks first. So how does your morning talk about? Rita, remember back in the day when we were talking about how we started our day? Like it was beautiful. I talked about starting your day off with affirmations and maybe even start, in your happy place in a little garden or something. Remember all that, Rita, back in the day when we talked about all that? Like setting your day in motion, setting the intention, all that fun stuff. That's all beautiful stuff to do. And then, okay, well, what's going to come out to that? Go ahead. Are you off of mute? Go ahead, Rita. Did you have something to
I had to find it. Yes, I do remember,
say?
but and I will wait and see if I agree with what you're about to say, but I think it's changed a little.
Well, I mean, it really depends on the person. Like you can have your Zen moment before you jump online and book your income producing blocks. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
That's what I'm getting at. Before you even get online, you should be in the right headspace to begin with. Right? So if
Well,
you
well, it helps when you have a good platform when you just go, well, let me just go look to see what I've got on here today. Click that button. Here's what you got to do. And then the things that you forgot to do are right there. And you can control when you want to do them or not. You can ignore it or you can let it stay there. But eventually you will want to get it off your list. So absolutely. That's what I go in there and look for. When I go there, I'm there ready to work. Let's go. What do I have to do? And it tells me. I love it.
I love it, love it, love it. So do it at your sharpest hours. That kind of brings to full circle what we were just talking about, right? Don't try to prospect and do all that stuff after you're tired, right? And I understand, right? You're gonna get home from work if you're doing a 9 to 5, you might be tired. I'm not sure what to tell you. Go take a shower, do what you can to wake up before you start dealing with other people and having those conversations. Add family and personal time after that because it's important that you do have family and personal time. I mentioned the other day about getting outside as well, right? Then let admin fill what's left over. Well, you're not going to get to that point until you get to that point, right? Until you actually have somebody that's working with you. Maybe they're working in cohesion with you. Maybe you have a business partner like Brad or Rita or somebody else that's really cool, fun to work with, right? But why does it work? Well, fill a jar with sand first and the big rocks, um, you know, the big rocks never fit. But if you put the big rocks in there, you put all the sand that you need into, right? I know I probably butchered that, but I'm not trying to be Confucius here. I'm trying to teach you guys just basic fundamentals of, hey, maybe I've never heard of this concept. I know about time management, but how does one learn? Like, how am I supposed to set up my day? You guys talk about running a business and being a laptop warrior and working from any place. Like, how do you do that? Time blocks, time blocks, right? Maybe Maybe I would block some time out to do my work before I went to the beach. So a couple of techniques here, number 2 and 3, theme it and then batch it. Here's what's going to help you guys out, right? Um, Case in point, first person that comes to my mind is Gene, right? Because of how he's doing his branding. Theme your days. Might be something that you haven't heard of or understand, but theme your days. I briefly said maybe Monday you do this, Tuesday you do this, right? But theme your day. Monday, maybe it's you're doing some planning on whatever it is that you're going to do, like a specific launch or a video or something at this particular point in time and day on this day of the week, right? Maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, you're doing the prospecting and you're having conversations with people. I should have changed calls to conversations, right? Because I don't expect that you guys are just going to go out there and start smiling and dialing. I know that's not going to happen, right? But we can teach you how to get into somebody's messenger and start a conversation. And then when you start that conversation, then get off of social media and onto the phone or onto a Zoom. That's way better. And then maybe Friday is when you do your follow up. Again, we can't tell you how your schedule is going to look because something that I do might not work for you, right? Especially if it's time blocked out. If I say, okay, well, I'm gonna need like 3 hours of your time, that might not be possible for everybody, right? Maybe you only have an hour here, an hour here, an hour here. So anyway, batch like tasks is another thing that you could do. Group the same work together. Same thing I can think of when I'm doing my programming. Okay, what on this page can we get done together, right? Especially if it's the same context. Maybe it's as an example, again, I just thinking of Gene today because the brilliance that he's been doing in the background with his branding and stuff. Oh, and Rita, of course, I could think of her, with her stickers, right? Same thing, Gene with his stickers. Like maybe one day you're making stickers, right? Maybe the next day you're making graphics for the week. I know that I've got a bunch of graphics that I went and I created that I haven't even used yet. Why? Because, well, I went on to the next thing and then I go back and I'm like, oh man, I've got such these great graphics. If you have that, go back and revisit some of those things. Reuse them if you need to. Right? Maybe it's all your calls, right? Again, I think what's going to happen, I know what's going to happen is you're going to see that day you pop in there and it's okay, this person, this person, this person that you got to follow up with. So schedule them. Let's say, okay, your time to follow up is normally Thursday from 7 to 8 or whatever, right? You can even use that in your advertising, right? What I mean, at comment below, I normally follow up with everybody Thursday from 7 to 8, and we do that live. If you want to join us live here, but there's so many different ways that you can grow your business. Again, as we mentioned before, little nuggets if you didn't pick them up. It's just piquing people's interest, right? Pique people's interests. You start the conversation, change the state, plant the seed. And then maybe all your content. That's kind of what I was getting at there, right? Maybe Monday is content day. I don't know. Maybe it's Tuesday. Maybe it's Thursday for you. Maybe it's Sunday. I don't know. You have to figure out what days those are. Block your time out, though. Okay. And then last technique 4, protect the block. Right? Protect the block. This goes back to protecting your time and your energy. Right? Number 1, treat it like it's a client. Oh, that's a big one right there. Treat it like it's a client. At 2 o'clock, I got social media stuff I got to do. That is your client. It's the social media stuff that you got to do. I hope everybody likes that one there. And then number 2, kill the interruptions. Turn the phone off if you have to. Close the door, like we mentioned. If you're at the house and you got people, kids around you, close the door. And then number 3, build in buffers. Leave small gaps, not big ones, right? But small gaps. Now, as an example, you've got 15 minutes, 12 minutes to talk to one person. I wouldn't try to go over 15 because then you're going to cut into the other person's time. Especially if you have something scheduled, then you have to have strict adherence, right? Linda, go ahead. You have something to add?
I'm sorry, I just had some questions about the calendar, but I don't want to take you off your focus. So
Sure,
no,
go ahead.
it's not adding to, well, um, I connected mine, but it on the calendar it says American New York time, but when I send the link out, it says Central time, and I don't know how to change it.
Okay, let's get together maybe sometime after that, but you don't have to change anything. What that's doing is it should be reading both sides. I'm not sure why you would be seeing Central, but yes, shoot me a little message or whatnot, and we'll take a look
Okay.
at it.
Okay.
Sure.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, nothing to be sorry about at all. Rita, did you have something to add?
Yes, I wanted to share. You said you have a lot of graphics and things that you created.
Yeah,
I'm going to latch on to Virgil and just say that's an asset. Those are your assets.
yeah, 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 that's it.
My my newest vocabulary word.
I love it. Yeah, I got a lot of assets I got to go back and reuse, right?
Yep.
So, what does a block day look like? Simple. Early morning routine. Maybe it's mindset, movement, right? Your plan for the day. Do you see how all this just kind of laid out there, Rita? I don't know how it just happens. It just happens. And then what are your prime hours? What are your income producing? Right?
Yep.
Why do you think 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time is why we have this meeting, right? Midday follow up. Maybe late in the day, maybe that's when you're doing any admin or emails and stuff like that. But, do the admin stuff so that you're preparing for whatever the next day is. I'll tell you just another quick little tip too, as somebody that's gone through it multiple times. But I do what I can to be a week ahead. How about that? When you learn to be a week ahead, then you have a way less stress. Like this one here that we're doing right now, I had that one done last week, and I've
The
already got
markings
it's done.
over overachiever.
Well, no, it's because, well, I mean, I guess if you want to
It's
call
a
it.
it's a joke. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah, no, I want to be prepared. It's again goes
Mhm.
back to my military mentality, and then, well, what if shit happens? And then, oh, well, and I don't want to be fighting at the last minute to find graphics and make sure it's all put together the right way. Don't want to rush. Or in some cases, act like I don't know what I'm talking about. Inside joke there. But do versus don't. Do block income hours first. Match your hard work to your peak energy. Leave buffers between your blocks. Schedule family time as well. That's a big one. I've had to remind myself, I got to make sure I make time for my wife instead of being just head down, sharpening my horns. Don't schedule every minute solid. Start the day in your inbox. Don't do that. I need to change. Well, I'm not necessarily. I kind of am in my inbox at the beginning of the day, so maybe I need to push that back. Break a block for anything minor. Okay. So, anyway, I think we've talked enough about that stuff. Time blocking killers starting in your inbox, breaking your own blocks, wrong task, wrong energy. Overscheduling. This is something that's very, like, it happens quite frequently. Don't overschedule. If you only have a few time blocks, then stick to those time blocks. And then blocking only work, like you have to do a little bit of each because there has to be some kind of balance. Remember that word, ladies and gentlemen, because you'll hear me talk about it all the time. Balance. I mean, even and especially, I'm going to say this out loud. If you don't have any balance within your home life, I'm going to tell you, your online work life is going to have a whole lot of hell in balance as well. Okay. This is your direct reflection of what's happening in your real world. Real world. So love to hear any takeaways. I know we can make it quick, 7 minutes over, but I want you guys to think about these questions over the next week. What are your sharpest hours of the day? Like write them down. Like if you need to, if you guys have a schedule already, I'd love to hear a quick little rendition of how you know what you have scheduled based off of that number one question there. Name one income producing block that you'll protect daily. What time does it start? And then number three, what's your biggest time thief right now? What's stealing your time? Because again, we talk about awareness. You need to have awareness. If you have awareness and you know what's blocking or stealing your time, then you can little by little, if not all the way, remove that from your identity so that it's not blocking your time. So go ahead, anybody? Any final thoughts?
Sure, menopause is my time blocker and I'm working with it.
Oh my God.
Post menopause, I should say.
I can only imagine, and that's because obviously my wife is going through the same thing right now. So it's like, it's, I feel for you ladies. I really do.
We
And
just have to stay balanced. That's all. Once you figure that part out, you're good. But there, you've got, anyway, yes, I'm
well,
quiet
there's
now.
the word balance. I believe that as well. So hormones off balance, hello,
Hmm.
rebalance, right? Gene? Gene knows a lot about that stuff.
Yep. Just a couple of things real quick, and I have to start drilling this back into my friend Lisa again because she's gonna be using her counter a lot more with what we're doing. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You've got to block that time out for yourself. And
Right.
like on my own calendar, I've got, I purposely have these blocked in my calendar from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. Do not book. And that way, anybody on Calendly or anybody in the Lost Transition that's going to, I'm going to start using that.
Yep.
Is that those times you cannot book those times? That's my mom's stuff, or I'm still sleeping, or something like that.
Right.
And then I have uh, 30 minutes after this call, because this, to me, this call ends at 1:30. But
Okay.
then a 30-minute block every day after that at 1 o'clock, because that's when my mom goes down for a nap. So I've got that in the account. Nobody can book that. Now I might tell her if something special comes up, I'll get with you in a little bit. But then the same thing in the evening, 6 o'clock. Do not book because that's supper time. That's when I got to pick supper for her. And, I'm not the bachelor. I can just eat whenever, it's I got to fix her supper. So you need that. But also, you definitely need that time for yourself in the middle of the day. And that's what I got to get back with Lisa on is, you know, you can't fill your day up with just a whole bunch of stuff in the calendar and not have that 15-minute break of just,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Exactly.
um, and then, like you said, booking out the projects. If I know I'm going to be working on a big project, that goes in my calendar also at that time. Nobody can book that time because it's already booked. The system will see that. It's a no, that's not available. And lastly, is you mentioned buffers before, is definitely build a buffer right after a call, you know? So if someone books you see on the counter, someone books a call for 2 o'clock today until 2:15, well, 2:15 to 2:30 or whatever, fill that space before someone else books a time right over that, especially if you're that busy that people are trying to book out times and such with you because you're going to need to make that mad dash.
Mhm. Well, so
So,
let me add on that if I may. So to
mhm.
me, if I'm doing 5 per hour, right, and I go through and I do a sale per se, and I get that done within the first 10 minutes, I'm not going to recommend that anybody stop. I want to say, hey, go to the next call because you can
Oh yeah,
transfer energy. That's not what you're saying. I understand that.
yeah.
But you had me realize too something else that I didn't even recognize. But the same way for me, I've got in my calendar blocked off only 2 to 5, right?
Yeah.
So 2 to 5 is when I will typically take anything. The morning time, I've got that blocked off to do everything else I need. Somebody gets on my calendar, it's typically 2 to 5. That's right in my gaming time, believe it or not. So if I have a scheduled appointment, then I'm gonna go to the scheduled appointment and take care of that one, right? Beyond
Mhm.
that, once I'm done, all right, then I'll go back to enjoying my day, go and do my gaming and whatnot. But great points. Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
Great takeaways. Virgil, what you got, brother?
While Virgil's coming to the mic, Virgil, check the chat, please. I sent you a direct message.
Uh-huh.
Who, me or Robert checked them out?
Virgil, Obeo.
Man.
I check and see. Oh, I saw the link to check out.
No, this was directly to you.
Let me see. Ooh. Oh, sorry.
Come on, multitask, mister.
I'm a guy, so I can only multitask. I'm just joking. I saw the message. No, I can't say for sure, but I think I'll follow up with you on that when we're
Okay.
done here.
Okay.
Yeah. And as far as today, there's three words that came, well, that stand out for me, my takeaways: the blocking, the discipline, and being balanced. I definitely don't have a problem with blocking. I usually start with trying to block my whole week, but then the issue is the discipline. I think this is where I think a lot of us will maybe join me in that hurdle. Keeping up with the blocks, even though they tend to shift as well, right? Because you will set up a block for a few weeks ahead of time, and then the next week something will happen and it will cause you to shift a little bit of the dynamics of the blocks. So that's where I'd say balance is important because yes, you're putting these blocks. You have to have the discipline to follow up with them. I think one of the things that I wasn't doing that I'm going to be doing now is checking them every night, right? Because you prepare your day before you go to sleep. And if you have your day planned out, uh, before it even starts, after the morning miracle, that time that you take when you wake up to find yourself and set out the task of the day, that falls directly in line. I think this is where I was losing myself a little bit between things that are shifting and me not necessarily having the discipline to follow through the dynamics of the board. Because in the end, I think, or in the first, we should treat that weekly calendar as the board. It has to be up on the board before we can start managing it, updating it, repeating it, or planning it out. And one of the things I think, especially for us that are important, that are always in the mix of things, is have the template calendar for the week, but don't plan too many weeks ahead of time, at least in the specifics. You can plan the grand arc of things, but in the specific, be gentle with yourself because when you put things on the calendar that you don't get to accomplish yourself, you tend to uh, maybe fall back, maybe be discouraged or things like that. But yeah, blocking out your time is essential. Making sure, well, that's what I'm repeating myself right now. My takeaway, I have to block it because without that, you have nothing on the board to follow. You have to have the discipline to follow up with it, meaning checking it before you go to sleep, getting ready for the day tomorrow, and lining it up and balancing it out with your personal life as well, right? Because remember, that's also one thing that I didn't do properly. I planned out my whole work day, but no rest time in between, right? Only the rest time that comes naturally at the end of the day, and then everything starts on the morning clock, Monday to Friday rhythm. And I think we have to be a little bit more balanced and agile and following what you said. I mean, if you're organized, at least in the prospecting, following up, and rendering service, 2 hours or half a day's work should be enough for us. So the other part of the day should be left to things that we enjoy, even if it's staying in the lab for half of the rest of the day,
Exactly.
right?
I appreciate that feedback. What I would recommend to everybody is 2 weeks and 15 minutes, right? So on your calendar, 2 weeks out, and then each one of your meetings, 15 minutes, because then at least you have a little bit of a buffer of 3 minutes. If you have things packed back to back, then you have to be strict on your time. So thank you for that feedback. And then to end the show, it was great that you said that because I think you were there too when we were talking about all those things and manifestation and how we would start our day. And you just kind of coupled it back around. I believe you were there, correct me if I'm wrong, Virgil, when we started talking about as well to ending the day Well, being grateful for the things that we had already done and already starting to plan our day for the next day. If we think about what's going to happen the next day and then we're dreaming, well, that's going to help in that, surreal realm, if you will, to help us manifest even more. But here's your week's challenge. The challenge itself is open your calendar. Imagine that. And block one income producing hour every day this week. If you can get to the point where you're talking to five people that are qualified for your business, then that's even better. But this hour is booked to make sure that this is the book, that everything else waits. Doesn't matter, hell or high water, just like what we talked about here for the last 5 years. Hell or high water, I'm here, right? Every single time. And then we're going to be talking about the power hour, which is going to kind of, again, I think you see where I'm pushing you towards. I'm kind of giving you a few little hints. But next week, we're going to talk about the power hour. Did you have something that you wanted to say, Linda, before we wrapped it up? Or Virgil? Or is that residual?
Residual.
Oh, cool.
No, I didn't mean to have the hand up, sorry.
Nothing to be sorry about, my friends.
I
Nothing to.
do.
Okay, go ahead.
So I was going to say that just with using I am pushing the platform because
What?
it is no longer the bane of my existence to, be excited to get up and actually not have to worry about sticky notes, except if they're in the platform. That works for me. But it just makes things so much easier to plan out the activity. And as you were talking about, um, just getting into gear, getting those statistics. Statistics run the world. They run everything. And if you don't know that, you need to learn it. Statistics are the base. And I just
Ab-
had I
well,
had a conversation with someone today about um, she's in Africa. What part of I can't remember, but anyway, I'm asking her questions because she's wanting to make X amount of dollars with the service she provides. And she has no clue. She just wants to make money, but she has not set anything about how many clients do you need? How much do you want to make? Because all of that data is driving your activity and the things that you need to do, who you talk to, how many people you talk to. So just find out what your numbers are. If you are a member of the back office, TLT, I don't know what I call it, the platform. If you're a member of the platform, use it. It will be an eye opener for you. It will help you drive your business. Okay, I will yield.
awesome. I thank you for that shout out there and those flowers. Yeah, I told her to reach out to you. I'm glad she did. So now let's wrap it up. Let's go out there and let's kick some ass, take some names. You got your challenges to do. Start your income producing activities, block your time. Tomorrow, Virgil, how to Tuesday? Yep. All right. We'll see some of you guys here tomorrow. If not everybody for How To Tuesday, have a fantastic day. Toot toot. Love you. Bye bye.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody.
Oh, and if you're watching on YouTube and you got some value, feel free to hit that like button and subscribe. And ding, 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 hit the bell notification. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
You do.